Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
This is the GSMC Football Podcast. The GSMC Football Podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. You guys already know who it is. I am your boy, Kayvon, and I am delighted to be talking to you today as we are now finished with Week 7 and we go into Week 8. Oh my goodness, the NFL season is flying along. The college football season has really gotten underway now that the Big Ten had their first week of football. Ohio State looks great. Justin Fields looks great. Speaking of Justin Fields, I have a plan for a certain team out there that involves Mr. Justin Fields. And you guys are going to want to listen to this because this is a very, very popular team. And some people might like it, but some people might really hate it. But wait for that. I'll talk about it soon. But anyways, this is the GSMC Football Podcast. I'm really, really delighted you guys are all joining me today. Wherever you are, however you're listening, wherever you're listening, we really do appreciate it. And we hope you enjoy the show. We hope we bring you a lot of great content as we discuss what has gone down in Week 7. And we look into what's going on coming up this Week 8. Now, look, there is a lot of storylines. I mean, I always say once we get about 5, 6, 7 weeks into the season, we really start to understand what every team is, right? We have our bad teams. We have our Jets. We have our Cowboys. We have our Jaguars, and then we have the good teams. We have the Steelers. We have the Titans. We have the Ravens. We have the Seahawks. We have the Arizona Cardinals. What? Kyler Murray, I see you. What a performance that man put on the other night against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. We have Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just like I told you guys in the beginning of the year, I said, stop. Do not panic after they lost that Week 1. I said, this is Tom Brady. He has weapons galore, which, by the way, he just added one more. Antonio Brown, please stand up. Antonio Brown, please stand up. Can you handle yourself? Can you stay under control? Are you going to help this team out? Because we all know the talent you have. We all know the talent that you have. It is special. It's generational type talent. But you get in the way. You let your emotions, you let your selfishness. Don't do it, Antonio Brown. Listen to Tom Brady. Listen to Tom Brady. Woo! The Bucs look good. And I said it from the beginning. That's why I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I said the Bucs will go to the Super Bowl because Tom Brady is hungry. And this is the most talent he has ever had on a team. Yes, even more talent than that undefeated 2007 Patriots team. And that's why they brought in Antonio Brown, because they want to stack the deck. Now, this could go two ways for him. It could go perfect, or it could derail some things. I don't think it's going to derail things because I do think Tom Brady will keep Antonio Brown in line. But the problem is, once he steps off the field, once he leaves the locker room, once he leaves the practice field, what happens then? Because Tom Brady can only control him so much. He can control him when he's in the locker room. He can control him when he's practicing. He can control him during games. But when Antonio Brown goes home, when Tom Brady goes home, that's when Tom Brady isn't able to control him anymore. And that's when you have to worry about what does Antonio Brown get himself into. Does he start getting on social media? Does he start having, some just emotional issue where he needs to go crazy and call out his head coach or his teammate because he didn't get 10 catches this week? That's what we have to worry about. But on the field, I think that Tom Brady is going to let Antonio Brown know that this is his last chance. I think Antonio Brown is smart enough to realize that it took him this long to just get signed. And if it wasn't for Tom Brady having this, kind of love affair for Antonio Brown, and also, let's just be real, a love affair for wanting to win, does Antonio Brown really get signed? I understand. I know that there was other teams out there that were rumored to pick him up, but we've heard that before, and it never really happened. So Tom Brady, and I get it, Bruce Arians can stand all up there all they want and said this has nothing to do with Brady. Bruce Arians, you're sounding like Jerry Jones now, all right? You're sounding like Jerry Jones because you're lying. That's right, Cowboys fans, you're lying. Jerry Jones stands up there yesterday in his Tuesday morning radio show, the only owner in the league that does this crap, and he says, there is no leadership void in Dallas. Okay, yeah, and the sky is pink every single day, Jerry. Yeah, and I'm magically growing hair, Jerry. Like, stop lying to everyone, okay? You're lying, and Bruce Arians is standing up there, and he's lying when he says Tom Brady did not have anything to do with this decision. Tom Brady had everything to do with this decision. Tom Brady is the reason why Antonio Brown will be in a Bucs uniform come week 9, okay? And Tom Brady loved him when he came to the Patriots, and Tom Brady wanted him to come to the Bucs. And if you guys remember, Bruce Arians said right after Tom Brady signed with the Bucs that there is no way in hell Antonio Brown is coming on this team. He said it. He said it on numerous radio shows. He said it to the media. And now look where we are. And I get it. Bruce Arians says it's because that their receivers had a lot of injuries. They lost O.J. Howard for the season. And all of that stuff is correct. He's right. But at the end of the day, Tom Brady wanted Antonio Brown on this team. And Antonio Brown is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. It's that plain and simple. Sometimes, guys, it takes the straight and narrow path to get to the answer. Just don't listen to what everyone else is saying. Just know what you know. And what you guys know is that Tom Brady wanted Antonio Brown, so Tom Brady gets Antonio Brown. And the Bucs are rolling right now. They are rolling. They are by far one of the best teams in the NFC. Their defense looks like one of the best teams, one of the best defenses in the NFC. And then their offense is getting better and better each and every week. They have a backup now for every single skill position needed. Ronald Jones goes out, Leonard Fournette steps in. Mike Evans goes out, Antonio Brown steps in. Chris Godwin goes out, Scotty Miller steps in. Rob Gronkowski goes out, Cameron Brate steps in. Now, I'm not saying they're all equivalent backups, but they have a backup for every single position, obviously, other than Tom Brady. They have to keep Tom Brady upright, and they've done a great job with that with their offensive line. So, I really like the Bucs. That's why I picked them going into the season to make the Super Bowl. I said Kansas City will upset them. And you know what, guys? I'm telling you what, I'm going to stick with my pick on Kansas City. But coming up in the show, I'm going to explain to you guys right now why it's not the Bucs that are the best team in the league right now. It's not Kansas City that is the best team in the league right now. It's not Seattle. It's not Baltimore. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the best team in the entire NFL right now. And coming up for segment number 2, I am going to explain to you guys why that is exactly. So you're going to want to hear this, and I'm not kidding. I said before the season started, I said that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will be able to come within 1 or 2 games of maybe of trying to win that division. I think they'll lose that division race by 1 or 2 games to Baltimore. I don't think I was generous enough. Right now, based on the eye test, based on the record, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the better team over Baltimore Ravens. Right now, they are the front runner to win that AFC North. Now, there's a lot of football left. A lot of things can happen in the NFL. But right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not just the best team in the AFC North. They're not just the best team in the AFC. They are the best team in the entire NFL, and I am going to explain to you exactly why that is coming up on segment number 2. Okay? So much more we have to do today. The Patriots. Hey, look, I admit it when I'm right. Of course, I have to admit it when I'm wrong. I said that the New England Patriots will be better than last year because of Cam Newton. I said that they will win the AFC East. Now, I am not taking that prediction back. I actually do think that the New England Patriots will still win the AFC East. And thankfully, the Buffalo Bills have slid a little bit, and Tua is now going to be starting as a rookie, so we don't know what's going to happen with Miami, and we don't know if Buffalo is going to be able to get back to how they were earlier in the season. So, because of those two things, they've given us some wiggle room here where we can still actually get involved and are still alive in that division race. So, I still do think the New England Patriots will win that AFC East, but I'm telling you right now, I'm worried. I'm worried with what's going on with this team. I'm worried with what's going on with Cam Newton. And then most importantly, I'm worried with what's going on with Bill Belichick. I understand that he has lost a bunch of players because of opting out of COVID. I understand, and I said that before the season, there is zero talent on this offense. The offense has the worst weapons in the entire NFL. Yes, the New York Jets have more weapons than the New England Patriots. And it's not even close, to be honest with you. But the reason why I said the Patriots will still win this division is because they have a dual threat quarterback in Cam Newton where he doesn't need the abundance of weapons like Tom Brady would have because he has his legs, right? Unfortunately, Cam Newton has been playing terrible football ever since he got COVID. Remember, before he got COVID, he was playing awesome. He looked like 2015 MVP Cam Newton. He's gotten COVID. It's made him take a step back. But I do think the New England Patriots right the ship. And I think they start that off by beating the Buffalo Bills this week. We'll get into that more, though. There's no doubt about it. We're going to get into why the Pittsburgh Steelers are the best team in the NFL. We're going to get into what Arizona did to Seattle on Sunday night and how special of a performance that was against Seattle Seahawks, and why, if Seattle does not make a move before the trade deadline come Tuesday, November 3rd, they are in big, big trouble. Yes, they might still win their NFC West division. Yes, they'll still make the playoffs, but they will get nowhere near that Super Bowl unless they make a move. And I'm going to tell you guys what move that needs to be and why I am saying that. So stay tuned for all of this coming up. But we have to start here. We have to start with the Dallas Cowboys. With quote-unquote America's team. First of all, I want to say this. I want to start with this before we go into what's going on with Dallas. I want to first say, I want to give a big congrats to Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera on really, first of all, on dominating the lowly and pathetic and awful Dallas Cowboys. But even more important, way more important, congrats to Ron Rivera for beating the final stages of his cancer treatment. Getting the chance to ring that bell as he leaves the hospital. Obviously, I know it doesn't mean he has officially beaten cancer, but he has finished his treatment, and that is so awesome to see. He did it while coaching an NFL team. He never missed a game. He never even missed a half. He was there for his team. He was able to win 2 games. He was able to be competitive in a lot of those games as well. I mean, Ron Rivera is the true example of a role model in today's day. You know, in a world where we're searching and grabbing in thin air to try and find people to look up to as kids, you know, because there's just so many different just bad things going on in this world right now. Ron Rivera is a special human being. You know, I got to see him up close in person when he was the coach of the Panthers for all those years. And he was the exact same guy he was when he got the job in 2011 to when he got fired last year. And he's the exact same guy now when he got the job with Washington. He's special. He cares about his teammates. He cares about the media members. Yeah, of course, he's had moments where he's freaked out on some of them, but that's football, that's sports. But he cares about the media members. He cares about his teammates. He cares about his family. And he's just a good football coach, but most importantly, he's a great person. And it's so cool to see something like this. It was awesome to see the team and the players rally around him. And it was awesome to see all those hospital workers and staff members really show their support and their love for him. And I couldn't be more happy. He finished his final stages of the cancer treatment, and I hope everything goes well from here. So big congrats to you, Ron Rivera. Now, this is where I have to change things, and it's tough, changing from that to now talking about the Cowboys, the team Ron Rivera just beat. And again, stick with me here, Cowboys fans, because what I'm going to do is, I told you guys a couple minutes ago that I know how to fix your team, right? I said I know how to fix a very popular team. Well, yes, that is your team. And I'm going to tell you at the end of this segment right here how to do that. But I first need to start with your owner. Your owner having the audacity on Tuesday morning to come on his daily radio segment and say that there is no leadership void in my team. I walk into the locker room and I see there is no leadership void. A bull of crap. A baloney, Jerry Jones. A big, fat baloney. Stop lying to everyone. Just don't say anything if you don't want to admit it, because it's so obvious. Here is why I know there's a void. Because if you question whether a team has leadership and there's no roar coming from that team, there's no loud roar coming from that team, well, then there's a void. People should be screaming right now in Dallas. Put it this way. If they said there's a leadership void in Philadelphia, that man-child Jason Kelce would punch someone. That man-child Fletcher Cox would punch someone. Doug Peterson would make sure to say something. Look around the division. Washington, what they have going on with Ron Rivera. Everybody and their mother can see that they have leadership in that locker room. And they've only won 2 games, just like the Dallas Cowboys. But they've stuck together as a team. They've lost, their starting quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, has been a mess this year. Missing team practices, doing this and that, but they've stuck together. Look at the New York Giants. The New York Giants lost their star running back, Saquon Barkley, and he has been injured, and he has been more of a leader than what we've seen on anyone on the Cowboys. He, from his luxury box, from his nice little suite where he watches games, he has literally been more of a leader than any single person involved in that Cowboys organization, and he is injured. Look around the team. Who is the guy that you can point to where you say, oh, that guy is always rallying everyone? Oh, wait, that's the guy that's yelling at the ref right now. Oh, wait, that's the guy who's getting in the other team's face. I don't see it, and there's no way in heck Jerry Jones sees it. I know I saw Andy Dalton last week was screaming on the sidelines, and he has been in Dallas not even long enough to get a cup of coffee. Okay, so yeah, Jerry Jones doesn't want to say it's a leadership void because then it looks bad on him for putting this terrible team together. But yeah, when you're America's team and you're this bad and you're getting destroyed by Washington football team, they don't even have a name for goodness sakes, there's an everything void, and it starts with leadership. How do you deny that? If you say there's not a leadership void, then you're not being a good leader yourself. Listen when Dak went down. Listen to what happened when Dak went down. We were all looking for someone to step up. But all of a sudden, everybody's sitting back looking for somebody to do their own job. I've always said this before, that true leaders, they don't create followers. They create more leaders. So Mike McCarthy, who are the leaders that you've created? Huh? Who are the leaders that you've created? Because let me tell you something, Dak was a leader before you got there, so you for sure as heck didn't create him. Who are the leaders? I'm pretty sure Ezekiel Elliott was much more of a leader last year than he is this year so far. And we know in every situation your quarterback is your leader, right? He's your main leader. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, list goes on and on and on. But then Dak goes down and all of a sudden they're on the sidelines looking like some sad little kids that can't go trick-or-treating this year. Nobody is stepping up on their sidelines. Nobody is screaming. The only person that was yelling and showing emotion is Andy Dalton, who has been there for barely any time. So there is no question here. Yes, there is a leadership void. You know it. I know it. Mike McCarthy knows it. Everyone knows it. And look in sports. Look around in sports. We talk about this all the time. It's the next man up mentality. When someone goes down, who is going to step up? These are professional football players. And you're telling me no one is willing to step up? Mike McCarthy, aren't you a Super Bowl winning coach? You're telling me you can't coach someone on your team to step up? You don't know how to pull the leader out of one of these players? And this is the thing. There are always two ways to step up. Some people are not leaders, and that is totally fine. So instead, they step up with their play on the field. They lead by example. Every team has those leaders. And then they have their vocal leaders, the emotional leaders. Dallas has neither. Nobody has stepped up their play. If anything, the team has quit. And yes, I said quit. And I hate saying that. I try everything I can as long as I've been on air doing podcasts and doing shows, live or recorded, I've always tried to stay away from saying a professional team quits. But there is no excuse here. I said they have quit. And I hate saying that because they're a group of professional men, but they have not shown anything, any type of thing that I can grab onto and say, okay, maybe they still have some fight in them. No, they haven't. So I don't know what else to say. I saw everything I needed to know about that locker room when Andy Dalton got his brains blown out by John Bostic on an illegal hit, on a very illegal hit, got knocked out, and everyone else was just twiddling their fingers, standing on the sidelines, and not one person came to back him up. Not one person came to lay out a Washington player. Not one person got in anyone's face. They all stood there around their quarterback and after their quarterback got knocked out of the game with a dirty hit. That is a leadership void. And then it goes to the coach. And I'm saying, okay, well, they're going to respond to him, right? He comes up and he calls out his players. And the next day, guess what? I don't hear anything. Not one person stands up and says, whoa, hold on, coach. I'm a leader. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a leader. Nah. We always talk about how it comes from the top to the bottom. Look, I don't care if it's Andy Dalton or whoever. When your quarterback gets laid out, somebody needs to do something afterwards. It's a hockey mentality. You take out my left winger, you take out my goalie, I am going to take care of you. I got his back. Andy Dalton got laid out on national televisions, and the Cowboys did the exact dang thing that I did while sitting on my couch watching the game. Nothing. Just sat and watched, and that is extremely inexcusable. I would have liked to see someone punch John Bostic. But no, I saw no fight. And now, unfortunately, we have to watch this team on Sunday night this week, which is a worse punishment than getting grounded by your parents. And most likely the Cowboys will have to roll out some QB named Ben DiNucci. And Mike McCarthy, this is when I'm talking to you here. I don't want to hear that your offensive line is banged up. I don't care. Your job is to help this kid out. You have 3 star wide receivers. You have a running back making $15 million a year. Help this guy out. You're this offensive genius, right? Right? Why don't you make the plays easier for him? Why don't you draw your receivers open? And for you Cowboys players, show some dang fight. Show that you deserve to be out there. Show that you deserve your paychecks. Because right now, the New York Jets have shown more fight over the past 2 weeks, and they have been the laughingstock of the entire season. The New York Jets have played better football and have shown more fight than quote-unquote America's team. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell all you Cowboys fans what you need to do and what you need to be praying for to change this team around, because there are a lot of issues. But there's one guy that can change everything for you guys. We'll be right back after this.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon. Hope everyone's having a lovely early start to their week. Tuesday here on my end, wherever you guys are, however you're listening to the show, thank you, and whatever day it is that you're listening, we appreciate it. Week 7 is in the books. Week 8 is on our way. We've got a Thursday night divisional game. The Carolina Panthers taking on my Atlanta Falcons. It's very hard to keep owning this team and saying that I love them, but I sure do. The Falcons are the definition of what 2020 is, right? I mean, if you look at it, they have lost every game in every way possible. First, they lose to the Cowboys by forgetting how to jump on an onside kick. They literally forgot the rules of what an onside kick is. Then they're up 20 on the Bears in the fourth quarter. The Bears bench their quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, even though they're undefeated on the season, and Nick Foles comes in, and the Falcons defense allows Nick Foles to look like Tom Brady when he was 21 years old. And then they now go against the Detroit Lions, and they don't want to score a touchdown, but Todd Gurley tries to fall on the 1-yard line. Instead, he falls into the end zone, and because they score a touchdown, they end up losing the game. I mean, it's just 2020 in a nutshell. Falcons fans, I feel for you. I hurt. I don't know how I'm still alive. I feel like every single week my heart goes crazy, and then it just dies, but it somehow keeps working, and I'm very thankful for that. But it's been very tough. It's been very, very tough. But you know what? At least they're in every single game. You know, I have some people that have reached out to me and they've said, hey, man, you know, my good friends that are obviously care about me and want to comfort me, they say, hey, look, man, this sucks. It really does. But shoot, at least you're not the Dallas Cowboys. At least you're not a fan of them. And I said, you know what? You're right. At least my team is in every single game. At least my team has lost the worst possible way, but they still show up and fight every single week. They haven't quit. They never quit on their coach. They have an interim coach. They never quit on their interim coach. Look at the New York Jets, guys. The New York Jets have been embarrassed week after week, and they still played the Buffalo Bills in a close game where they only lost by 8 points. They got shut out the week before by the Miami Dolphins, but they came back and they were a one-score game away from beating a 5-2 Buffalo Bills team. Like, they showed fight. They showed what it means to still earn your paycheck. And I really do hate that I keep having to rip on the Cowboys, but come on, guys, what else am I supposed to do? It's not just me, it's every single sports radio host out there that doesn't live in Dallas. Even the radio hosts in Dallas are ripping this team. It's pathetic. It's the biggest disappointment of the season. I get it. Dak Prescott went down. It sucks. Once Dak Prescott went down, nobody was calling for you guys to win the Super Bowl. Nobody. But my goodness, they thought that you would still be competitive. They thought that you would still have a chance to win the division. Shoot, Vegas actually still had you guys as the leading odds favorite to win the division after Dak went down. And it's not that you haven't even gotten close to winning a game since. You guys haven't even been competitive for a quarter. Once that first quarter is over and every single game since Dak has been down, y'all have been completely out of it. Even when Dak was there, every single halftime you guys have been down, and down by a lot. But Dak actually is good enough to make you guys look somewhat good. Look, the bottom line is this is just a bad football team. And it starts with Jerry Jones. And Mike McCarthy deserves a lot of crap. He deserves a lot of blame because he has been an awful coach. His defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan, has been an awful defensive coordinator. Mike McCarthy stands all off season. All we hear is Mike McCarthy talk to Peter King about how he's in Green Bay with a team full of analytics people in his basement, and they're creating new plays and they're learning analytics. And this guy comes out and the first thing he does is say, "Yeah, I'm not going to call plays. I'm going to give that to Kellen Moore." What? The second thing he does is he tells everybody that he told Jerry Jones he watched all the games, and then he gets up in front of the media and he says, "I lied. I just wanted to get the job." Now, listen, I think everyone probably lied before to try and get a job. But then right after they get it, they don't go and say, "Oh, by the way, boss, I just lied to you. I actually didn't do that." Okay, like, come on. Everything about Mike McCarthy has been miserable. But the man in the mirror that needs to take the most blame is Jerry Jones because this is his team and this roster is awful. It's a great offensive roster, but the defense is terrible. There's too much money to guys that are not worth that much money. But there's one way to fix it. And you say, how, Kayvon? How do you fix that? And for all you Dak Prescott lovers, you're not going to want to hear this. But the way to fix it is you draft Justin Fields. All right, look, you're not going to be good. You're not going to be bad enough to get the number 1 overall pick. The New York Jets already have that. And they might win a game down the road, but they're not going to win more than one game. So the New York Jets are going to get the number 1 pick, and they're going to get Trevor Lawrence. But the Dallas Cowboys are fully involved in that number 2 overall pick. I don't know if the Cowboys win another game this year. I really don't know if they do. Especially if Andy Dalton is out with a concussion for a while. This guy, Ben DiNucci, has to come in. I don't know if they do. So, look at this team. You have zero money to spend in free agency because you still have to pay Dak Prescott next year. All right? You have $15 million, going $15 million a year going to your star running back Ezekiel Elliott, who has been atrocious this season. You have a lot of money going into your to some of your defensive ends and your linebackers like Jalen Smith and DeMarcus Lawrence, who have done nothing this year as well. You have lost a lot of good players. You weren't able to sign Brian Jones because you decided to use the money elsewhere. And the players that you did sign just simply aren't showing up. So, now you'll have a quarterback who is good. I do like Dak Prescott, but he's going to be coming off a very serious injury. And I get it, it's his first real injury, but it's still a big-time injury. He'll be coming off that, and he'll still be wanting a lot of money. If you pay Dak Prescott the money he wants, you guys will be cap-strung for many, many years. So, what do you do then? You draft Justin Fields. And there's two ways to go about it. If you draft Justin Fields and you guys don't want to get rid of Dak Prescott, okay, you sign Dak to a franchise tag. One more time. One more year, you sign that 1-year franchise tag. So Justin Fields gets to sit for a year behind Dak Prescott, learn from a very good leader, a true leader that knows how to command himself and handle himself on the field and off the field. Perfect for Justin Fields to learn, even though he seems like he has all those traits down as well. But still, you can never get too much teaching under your belt. And then Dak has a good year or bad year, whatever. He goes. After that second franchise tag, he walks to free agency. Best of luck to him. In comes Justin Fields, who is a 6'3", 227 quarterback who can run the ball better than Dak and who has a cannon as an arm. All right. He will be on a rookie deal for 5 years, which means you guys now have so much more cap space to open up the door and use on your defense, your pass rush, your linebackers, your secondaries. You already have CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup, which are 3 really good receivers. I actually do not think Amari's that good, but still, you have 3 good receivers. You have Ezekiel Elliott. Hopefully, he'll wake up. He went to Ohio State, so you know he loves Justin Fields, who goes where? To Ohio State. You'll be able to use some of that money that you don't spend on Dak to help out that offensive line. Like, it's a win-win situation all around. Nobody thought coming into this year that the Cowboys would be bad enough to get a chance to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. But now here we are, 7 weeks into the season. Their quarterback isn't coming back. Their quarterback got hurt with a very serious injury. It was already a question of will Dak Prescott be signed again or not? It was already a question all offseason is why does Jerry Jones not want to give Dak the big bucks? Okay? And everybody knew once he did sign Dak, they were going to be cap strong. They, as in the Dallas Cowboys, were going to be cap strong for years on years on years because of how bad they used that cap before signing Dak, because of the terrible contract they gave to Zeke, the terrible contract they gave to Jalen Smith, the terrible contract they gave to DeMarcus Lawrence. They spent their money in the wrong ways. Now they're not able to build an offensive line like they had before. They're not able to build up their secondary like they had before. And the best part about this is they don't need to spend any money on offense because they have their weapons. They just need some help in the secondary, and they need some help on the offensive line. Well, if you don't pay Dak Prescott the big bucks and you have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal for 5 years, guess what? You get to use that money to spread around the love. And you get to make a really good team around Justin Fields. Now, all these Dak Prescott apologists out there, they're screaming at me right now. They want to take my head off. They think I'm crazy. Guys, just be realistic, okay? I love Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is my favorite Falcons player ever, tied with Julio Jones. I love those two. I really, really do. But I'm a Falcons fan. I'm not just a Matt Ryan fan. This isn't the NBA where I love LeBron and I'll go wherever he goes. And I'll be honest with that. I've been on record for that. LeBron is my guy. He can go to frickin', if Alaska had an NBA team, he could go there and I would become the biggest Alaska fan you know. What would their name be? Like the Alaska Icebergs or something? But you get what I'm saying. For my Falcons have been my team since I was 3 years old. They are my team. When Mike Vick was there, they were my team. When Mike Vick got arrested, they were still my team. When Joey Harrington was our freaking quarterback, they were still my team. All right? So Matt Ryan there or not, they will always be my team. So I hear all these people saying, man, what do you want? And I'm like, of course I want Matt Ryan to stay. Of course, I want Matt Ryan as my quarterback. But I'm also not an idiot. If the Falcons somehow get the number 2 overall pick, which is a total possibility by the way they've lost games this year, I want them to take Justin Fields. You have to take a quarterback like Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. You cannot pass up on that type of talent. Now, would I love them to take Justin Fields and have him sit behind Matt Ryan for a year to learn, kind of like Mahomes did with Alex Smith? Yes, that's exactly what I would want because Matt Ryan already has so much cap with us that trading him or letting him go would really just hurt us. So there's no point of doing that. But if we could get Matt Ryan to train Justin Fields for a year, let Justin Fields learn from an absolute pro of a quarterback on the field and off the field, just like Dak Prescott, and then he comes in and replaces Matt Ryan as our future, heck yeah, I'm on board with that. Heck yeah. Will I be sad that Matt Ryan's gone? Of course, I love Matt Ryan. But I want my Falcons to succeed. And I have to be realistic. And that would be super smart for our franchise because, guys, I say this every single NFL year. When you draft a rookie quarterback and you realize that he is the one, he is good enough, which we all know Justin Fields is going to be, your time bomb, your ticking time bomb immediately starts. Immediately. And that thing blows up in 5 years. What does that mean, Kayvon? It means you have 5 years to build a perfect team around a quarterback with a rookie deal. 4 years on sometimes if you sign him early. So you have 4 years to build a perfect team with a lot of money that you will have to spend before you have to pay that quarterback the big bucks. It's the situation everybody wants. It's how the Rams got to the Super Bowl. They had Jared Goff on a rookie deal, and what did they do? They built around him. They added pieces galore. They were signing left and right, and guess what? They got to the Super Bowl. Then they had to pay Jared Goff, and look what happened. They had to get rid of Todd Gurley. They had to get rid of pieces left and right. Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks, when they got Russell Wilson on a rookie deal, what were they able to do? They were able to create the Legion of Boom. They were able to sign one of the best defenses put together out there. Right when Russell Wilson got paid, goodbye Legion of Boom. Because you just don't have enough money to pay the quarterback and pay everyone else. But guess what? They got their Super Bowl, so it was worth it. Everybody knows that once you get your rookie quarterback and you know that he is legit, you are officially in prime time franchise years for 4 to 5 years. And the Dallas Cowboys have a chance to get a rookie quarterback who is an absolute stud. He has a body like Cam Newton, but he has better accuracy than Cam Newton. He's a great runner. He's a really good thrower. I mean, his accuracy is 10 times better than Cam Newton. And they have the chance to get him on a rookie deal, have him learn from Dak for 1 year, then they're even in a better situation than Atlanta because then Dak can walk away and it does nothing to their books because Dak will be on a 1 year deal. If Atlanta had to bring in Justin Fields and had Matt Ryan walk away, they would still take a huge cap hit because Matt Ryan is still on their books for a couple years to go. So, I mean, it is a win-win situation all around for the Dallas Cowboys. And if I'm a realistic Cowboys fan, I went through this last episode. I said, for all you delusional fans, just turn me off right now. I don't care if I lose the listeners. Turn me off. I don't want to hear it. Because you are so delusional, you don't know what is right and wrong, okay? I have a friend who's a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, and he is a smart fan. He watches the game. He studies these players. He knows who is good and who is bad. He doesn't let emotions take things over. And he shows me what some of his friends and what some of other people on Jaguars blogs say about Minshew. And it's mind-blowing. They talk about how Minshew's better than Kyler Murray, how Minshew's better than Carson Wentz. And it's all because they just love who Minshew is, this mustache guy, wild guy, not your typical quarterback type CEO. They love that about it. So they come up with any excuses to blame, oh, it's the receiver's fault, oh, it's the coaching fault, and it's not actually Minshew's fault, when really, Minshew is just not a good NFL quarterback. He shows me those things, and it's like, dude, can you believe this? Like, these people are delusional. And I'm like, yes, I totally believe it, because that's what happens when you have fans that fall in love with the player over them with the team. You make excuses for everybody but that player. And I'm not saying at all that Dak Prescott is Gardner Minshew. No way. Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback in the NFL. But guys, we've already seen what Dak can do with a lot of talent for 4 years. We've already seen it. Okay? He's good. He'll get you to the playoffs sometimes, but when the moment is biggest, like he had last year against Philadelphia, when his team was way better than Philadelphia's team. He wasn't able to come up big. And he'll get better as he goes. But overall, he is going to be so expensive because they screwed up the way with the cap. They screwed up signing him early. Jerry Jones did not do it for some reason. And now they have a chance because they're having a terrible year to get a quarterback like Justin Fields. And that's special. That does not come around often. And you have to take advantage of those situations. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So for all you delusional Cowboys fans, you don't know what you're talking about. For all you realistic Cowboys fans, this is right. What I'm saying right now is right. And you know it, I know it, and Jerry Jones hopefully knows it. And guess what? Every Cowboys fan that is smart always says this. Kayvon, Jerry Jones drafts based on marketing. He doesn't draft because he knows we need help on the defensive line. No, he takes the stud wide receiver instead, or he takes the stud cornerback or safety instead because that guy is going to sell jerseys. Well, guess what, guys? Justin Fields is going to sell abundance of jerseys. He is going to sell jerseys left and right because it is Justin Fields, baby. He is a superstar in the making. 6'3", 227 pounds, led Ohio State to the semifinals college football playoff last year. Gonna lead him back there this year. Can run the ball, throw the ball. He is the modern NFL prototype quarterback. And you already have an offense waiting for him. Sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I am going to explain to you guys why the Pittsburgh Steelers are the best team in the NFL right now. You are going to want to hear this. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami. I hope everyone's having a lovely early start to their week as we head into Week 8. Thursday night game, we've got the Carolina Panthers at home taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Should be a good divisional matchup right there. Matt Rule, first-time rookie head coach, has his first primetime game. Teddy Bridgewater. The Panthers have been an awesome story. You know, I said going into the year that the Panthers are going to be a tough out. They're not going to make the playoffs or anything, but they're going to be a tough out. It's going to be very hard for teams to beat them. You know, they're going to have to play their best football. It's not just going to be like a walkover game, and they've been even better than that. I mean, they're really only a game behind the Saints for second place in the NFC South. They almost beat the Saints last week. Got really close to it. They played some really good football against them. I really like what Matt Rule and Joe Brady are doing with that team. And I'll tell you what, I said this earlier, Joe Brady is coaching his way into being the next young phenom coach that everybody is going to want. That next young offensive-minded genius, the next Sean McVay type guy. And I'm not saying he's going to be Sean McVay, but the guy has worked in the New Orleans Saints system as a offensive advisor type to Sean Payton for a couple of years. Then he went to be the QB coach for the LSU Tigers for 2 years, where he led Joe Burrow to having the greatest statistical college football season we've ever seen in a quarterback. They won the national championship. Then he goes and signs a deal to become the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, and he's just taken off from there ever since. He's making Teddy Bridgewater look like a great quarterback. Teddy already was a good quarterback, but he is really taking Teddy's game to the next steps. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know if it'll be as early as this year. I personally would love the Atlanta Falcons to take a look at Joe Brady as a head coach. I know that he's young. I know that he doesn't have that much experience, but I think that's okay. I would still take a chance on him because that's the way this league is going. Look, this league is going offensive games. The first 6 weeks of the season, every single game was going over on the total because it was just an offensive showdown. Now, it would have to be a situation where he becomes a head coach and then he hires a Wade Phillips to be his defensive coordinator. Like, not exactly Wade Phillips, but it has to be some veteran defensive guy, like a Wade Phillips, like a Vance Joseph, like a Steve Wilkes type person that knows defense so well and even has been a head coach before, so they can take over the defense. They can help him with situational football. They can help him with clock management. They can help him run the team the right way because that's what you need when you hire a young coach. So I would be all for my Falcons hiring him as long as they bring in the right staff for him. But if it doesn't happen this year, some team is going to hire Joe Brady as a head coach in the next 2 or 3 years, and you can book that. I guarantee it. So he's been a great success story this year. And that should be a good divisional Thursday night game. Then we have a really good schedule on tap for week 8. The highlight game of the week, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Two teams that just look really good too. The Ravens have kind of taken a step back from last year, but they're still sitting here at 5-1. And they're still looking like one of the best teams in the AFC. Lamar, he's definitely not popping as much as he did last year, but he's still playing good football. He's still helping this team win. And the thing about the Ravens is they've gotten better on defense. They have one of the best defenses in the league. And then this past week, they traded for Yannick Ngakoue, right? So they traded for one of the best sackers in this game to go with Calais Campbell, two guys that played together in Jacksonville. They only had to give up like a 6th-round pick for him because the Vikings, they're not going anywhere this season, so they unloaded him. And it's a very good defense that just got better, and now we'll see what happens with the offense. They also signed Dez Bryant to their practice squad. Really happy for Dez. Dez is a great receiver. He's a good guy. I feel like he kind of got screwed by the Cowboys. I think that they let him go at the wrong time. They let him go after everyone's picking up players, and then he kind of just got to roll into the deal from the NFL. No one signed him. Finally, when the Saints did bring him in, he ended up tearing his Achilles. It was bad luck. So now he finally gets his way back on a roster, and I hope he can do something. I don't think he'll be, the Dez of the years past, but I think he could definitely be a mature veteran in this team, help out in the red zone with his big body, help out on third down, those type of things, but most importantly, be a strong presence in the locker room. So really happy for Dez Bryant, who's getting another chance. And then, Antonio Brown's getting another chance too, and for different situations. Dez Bryant, he's never done anything like Antonio Brown. Yes, he's been a loudmouth at times, but all in all, Dez Bryant has just been a very good receiver. That's it. Antonio Brown has been a head case, and he has a lot of problems. So while I think Antonio Brown is clearly the better receiver at this point, and while I think Antonio Brown will have more of an impact on the Bucs than Dez has on the Ravens, I still think that Antonio Brown is by far the biggest question mark and the most likely one that would get cut or have to get, kicked out of the league again or whatever, because he screws up. Dez is going to be a role model citizen. He's going to be a veteran. He's going to help that locker room and so on. So excited to see what happens there. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami, and now I want to talk to you guys about what we saw last week, Week 7, Sunday, and this is why I pay a boatload of money for NFL Sunday's ticket. Look, if you don't have Red Zone, you missed out on what happened at the end of the 1 o'clock games. I think it's like, usually it's like 4 times a year where we get some crazy stuff like this, if that. And what I'm talking about is you just get a heavy dose of red zone football right in your face. You can't move to go to the bathroom or get a drink of water because everything is happening at once. Crazy things are happening left and right. Like, just listen to this for a second, okay? I had to write this down because it was so crazy. From 3:56 Eastern Time to 4:12 Eastern Time, we had Big Ben throw a pick in the red zone, which then opened up the door for Tennessee to come back. At 3:57 Eastern, Todd Gurley tried not to score a touchdown for the Falcons, but then instead did score by accident, and we all know how that happened. And then at 4 Eastern Time, so 3 minutes later, Joe Burrow throws a touchdown for the Bengals to take the lead late in the fourth quarter. Then at 4:03 Eastern, so 6 minutes after that, Matthew Stafford hits Kenny Golladay down the field for a huge play. Then at 4:07 Eastern, Stephen Gostkowski, the kicker for the Tennessee Titans, misses a field goal to tie the game and send it to overtime. So Steelers ended up winning after the Titans had a late comeback. Then 1 minute after that, TJ Hawkinson, the tight end for the Detroit Lions, catches a wide open touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford to tie the game up against the Falcons. Then at 4:09 Eastern, 1 minute after that, Baker Mayfield throws a big touchdown pass to win the game. It was an excellent throw, an excellent catch. Got to give Baker props there. At 4:10 Eastern, Matt Prater hits a 48-yard extra point because Danny Amendola got a flag for unsportsmanlike conduct after the Lions scored that touchdown. So Matt Prater hits a 48-yard extra point, which is no chip shot to win the game. I mean, look, as a Falcons fan, it was awful. It sucked. It was awful. But overall, this was wild. I mean, I was sitting there, I was watching the Falcons game on the big TV. Then on my iPad, I had Red Zone. You had like the 4 boxes up there. If anyone watches Red Zone, they'll know what I'm talking about. You had the 4 screens up there, and it was just action, like 10 minutes of just, holy crap, what just happened? But it was wild. I mean, it's drama, It's the drama it's why you love football. It really is why you love football. And we're at this point in the season where it feels like, you know what each team is, right? Each team is who they are now. They know what they're bad at, and they know what they're good at. We have those bad teams, of course, like the Jets, the Cowboys, the Jaguars. And then you also have those good teams, like the Arizona Cardinals, who we thought had no business winning against Russell Wilson, but they did. It was awesome. It's just awesome football. It's great stuff. And that right there is why I pay the ridiculous price that AT&T DirecTV makes us pay for Red Zone and NFL Sunday Ticket. It's a huge price, but to me, it's fun every single week. I love it. It's like, I remember saying this couple weeks back, with the MVP race, where, early on, Josh Allen in September, he was on fire. If he wasn't first with Russell Wilson, he was 1B for the MVP. He kind of withered away and has been playing bad. Now he's out of the race. Then you had Aaron Rodgers, who was really bad against the Bucs, but then he bounces back, throws 4 touchdown passes against the Texans, absolutely balls out last week. And he kind of reasserted himself. And then Russell Wilson, who was kind of running away with the award, then goes and throws 3 picks on a national televised game against the Cardinals and kind of comes back to the path. And then there goes that old man, Mr. Tom Brady, starting to ball out, and he just goes right into the conversation. So every week, the MVP race is getting more and more realistic, more and more interesting, I should say, not realistic, and more players are coming involved in it, and Tom Brady has officially asserted himself as a candidate to win the MVP as well. But let's get to this. Let's get to the big game on CBS. The big game on CBS. There was some late game drama. Pittsburgh was flexing all over the Titans early, just like I predicted. Like I said on the show, bet the Steelers. I betted the Steelers. They covered. They won. That was nice. But I got nervous. I started to get nervous. I saw the beginning of the game, and I was like, okay, let's go. Let me get my money. And then I look up, next thing I know, Titans are within 3, and I'm like, uh-oh. But the way the game started, I was surprised that the Tennessee Titans were able to get back in the game, honestly, because I felt like the Steelers let them back in. And to me, this is no disrespect to Tennessee, but to me, I thought it was a little less about what Tennessee was doing, and I just felt like it was either Pittsburgh that, that old cliche, they took their foot off the gas, or they kind of let loose a bit, because to me, the Steelers were clearly the better team on Sunday. They were clearly the better team from the very first snap till, midway through the third quarter. They were the better team on the field, and I don't even think it was that close. You saw with the plays that Ben Roethlisberger was making, through threading the needle to Deontay Johnson on that first touchdown, or just the command that Big Ben was having around the huddle. James Conner was running well, I'm not overly high on James Conner, but he's become a really steady player when he's healthy in this Steelers offense. And just the Pittsburgh Steelers offense has just looked great. It's looked really good. And it just felt like they were there. They were like easily maneuvering through the whole game, right? They were easily maneuvering. Everything was coming easy for them. They got up big, and then once they got up, it was like 27-7. It was almost like they got cocky, And because it's not like they were playing scared or anything, they weren't just sitting back, chilling, picking up little yards here and there, and then punting, which they probably should have done. But that's just not in Big Ben's nature. That's just not what Big Ben is able to do. That's just not in his blood. That's not in his nature. He is he's got to throw it down the field. And so it's kind of like they got cocky, and Big Ben started trying to make throws that he shouldn't make. And so when you do that against a team that has talent, like the Titans, but you're just better than, they're going to take advantage of that. And that's one thing that we've noticed all season long, really actually the last 2 seasons, when it comes to the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans squad, coached by Mike Vrabel, they do not let down. They don't give up. They always stay fighting. They aren't like some of these other teams like the Cowboys where when they get down, it's over. They basically just lay down and say it's done. No, the Tennessee Titans are going to fight to the very last second of the game. And so when Big Ben started getting too comfortable and trying to stick some of these throws into double coverage, and like he did in the end zone, and you have a turnover, you make a mistake, the Tennessee Titans are going to start wearing on you. And look, the Steelers defense, my goodness, props to them. The Steelers defense did an amazing job like they've done all season shutting down the opposing running back. Do you guys remember that opening Monday night game when the Steelers took on the New York Giants and they held Saquon Barkley to like 8 yards, and everyone was like, what is wrong with Saquon Barkley? How can that happen? And I was like, no. This isn't Saquon. This is the Steelers defense. And that's what they've done to every running back they've played so far. They straight up eliminated Derrick Henry for the majority of the game. But this is the thing with Derrick Henry. This is why Derrick Henry is so special and so worth the contract that he got. He is so big. He is so powerful. You might be able to tackle him for the first couple of quarters, but once that third and fourth quarter come, that starts to wear on you. you get tired of hitting a body like that big over and over. So you keep pounding Derrick Henry like the Titans usually do, and eventually he's going to break one of those tackles. Eventually he's going to make something happen. Eventually you're going to make that business decision, and I don't know, you're going to not want to hit that guy right now. And that's how the Tennessee Titans, by continually pounding the ball, not just with Derrick Henry, by Ryan Tannehill making big plays to A.J. Brown, who, by the way, has turned into such a great receiver. Those two Ole Miss receivers are something special. My entire life, I have never seen a receiver that looks like Julio Jones and is really, really good like that. But man, DK Metcalf especially, but also A.J. Brown, those guys are big, ripped receivers, and they are special. They are fun to watch. But anyways, that is what the Titans did. They just slowly and methodically brought themselves back into the game and a chance to win it at the end. Whenever you hold a team with that much talent, eventually they will pop. So you have to be careful, right? Like, it's like this, the whole thing, I don't care if Ray Allen is 0 for 10 shooting on the night. I am going to keep passing him the ball because eventually he will make one. He is that good. And when you keep giving the ball to Derrick Henry, he's going to eventually either run over you or run around you or both. Just ask Josh Norman. But when it comes to this game, the big game of the weekend, the two undefeated teams left in the AFC, the thing that I found the most interesting is that I don't think the Steelers played their best game. I don't think the Steelers played their best game. I don't even think it was close. They got up by multiple scores, and then they kind of changed their identity almost. They didn't go for the easy completions. They didn't say, okay, let's start to hand the ball off to James Conner. Let's start to do some screen passes. Let's start to do some curls and some crossing routes. Just something easy to keep the clock going so ultimately the other team runs out of time. The Steelers were not trying to do that. What we saw from the Steelers is they were trying to get those chunk plays all game. They were trying to keep throwing it deep. And honestly, that is what Big Ben does. He can't help himself. He gets trigger happy with that massive big arm of his. He loves to keep pressing the ball down the field, which I get. But sometimes it can get you in trouble. So if you're Mike Tomlin or whoever is calling the plays, you want to throw the ball down the field because that's what Big Ben does well and what he's good at. And I totally get that. I really do. But the problem is Big Ben made some uncharacteristic mistakes and he let the Titans get back in the game. It wasn't a vintage, thrashing or anything like that. I mean, the Steelers only had 3 total points in the second half, guys. 3 total points in the second half, and they won the game. That is the big news here. Right there. They played awful in the second half. I mean, awful. Big Ben was throwing interceptions left and right. They stopped locking down Derrick Henry. They let A.J. Brown break loose for some big plays. They had an awful second half, but again, they won the game. And that is the key here, ladies and gentlemen. In the NFL, it is so competitive. Everyone is so good. Maybe not every team is good, but all the players are good. They got to the NFL for a reason. So when you can win a game, especially against another really good team like the Titans are, so when you can win a game and not play your best football for 4 straight quarters, that is a very, very positive sign. And that shows how good this Steelers team is. And that's why you give them a ton of credit because they played horrible in that second half relative to what they did in the first half. But still won the game against a really good and resilient Titans team. And I do this a lot in basketball. I don't do it as much in football, but I do it a lot in basketball. I always say, when you start to get deep into, let's say, the NBA playoffs, I'll go through the box score, right? And I'll say, well, was there an evidence to statistically overachievement, right? By the team that wasn't supposed to win. And if there's not if they didn't shoot a blistering percentage from downtown, if the disparity and free throw attempts wasn't really that jarring, if one team that was supposed to win didn't have 22 turnovers and shoot 31% overall themselves, something like that. In other words, just something that's a bit of an anomaly that gives me a perspective on the game. that I can then look into next game, So it's like, was this an outlier game for X opponent? Was the team that was not supposed to win, did they have some type of outlier game? And generally, this will tell me a lot. Not always, but generally, this will tell you a good amount. And I think when I take out this, what I take out of the Steelers-Titans game is that it is similar to how I do with an NBA. The Steelers didn't play their A-plus game. Not even nearly their A-plus game. But they still won the football game. Big Ben doesn't throw that if Big Ben doesn't throw that red zone pick, the game is over. You're on cruise control. Game's over. We're not even discussing this. So to me, this further emboldens to me to say the Pittsburgh Steelers are the best team in the National Football League. That's right. Not just the AFC, the entire National Football League. And you all know before the show, if you listen to this show, I said the Steelers would come within a game or two to beating out the Ravens for the AFC North. And right now, I'm not going to lie, I almost think I wasn't generous enough. I think right now, the way the Steelers are playing and the way the Ravens are playing, who are still playing good football, by the way, but just not what most people expected, especially on offense, right now the Steelers are clearly the better team. And now a million things can happen. Obviously, this is the NFL, and also those two play each other in Baltimore this weekend, so we'll learn even more come this weekend. Ravens are coming off a bye. They traded for Yannick Ngakoue. Their defense is getting better, which is important because the one thing the Steelers do well is they protect Big Ben. That offensive line is legit, is very legit. So we're going to learn a lot, and I'm going to get into this game next segment a little bit more. But right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, after what they showed to me where they could play a great first half and then only scored 3 points in the second half and still win the game against a very good Tennessee Titans team, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the best team in football right now. When we come back, I am going to dive into a little bit more of this Ravens-Steelers game. And then I'm going to look at the New England Patriots, Cam Newton. They are on a skid. They're on a slide. Is this what we're going to see the rest of the season? Or are we going to see some change? Do they still have a shot to win the AFC East? Or is their season officially over? And also, who else is on the come up? What teams are starting to show us, okay, this maybe is the real team? We'll discuss it all right after this.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. Guess what? I hope everyone in your car, actually don't throw up, keep your hands on the wheel, but hold up the four fingers. You know what time it is. Hold up the four fingers. If you're listening to the podcast at home, if you're not driving, hold up the four fingers because we are now entering quarter number 4. segment number 4. So as every team does, as in college mainly, when you enter the fourth quarter, you hold up the 4 fingers. The fans hold up the 4 fingers, and it says, 1 more quarter, 1 more segment, and we win this game. So what do you say, folks? Are we winning the game? Are we keeping you entertained? Are we having some fun? I know I am, and I really hope you guys are as well. Now, we just finished that segment, talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think they are the best team in football. They are the most rounded team in football. They have the best defense in football, and then they have a really good offense. Their running game is decent. James Conner has been having a good year, not a great year. Their receivers are stacked. Deontay Johnson looks really good when he's healthy. Chase Claypool's a great rookie. Juju Smith-Schuster has fallen off a bit, but he's still showing everybody what he can do as a player when he's not getting double-teamed. They have a good tight end, Eric Ebron. And their offensive line is one of the best in the league. And that's the most important thing. Look at the old quarterbacks that we have playing right now. And old realistically to football, not old in real life, obviously. You look at Big Ben. You look at Tom Brady. You look at Drew Brees. What is the one thing all those guys have going for them? They have good offensive lines. If you have a bad offensive line with an old quarterback, it's over. You're done. You put that quarterback in position to lose every single time. You put him in position to get hurt, and you put him in position to get sacked. The Tampa Bay Bucs offensive line has been amazing for Tom Brady. We all know how to beat Tom Brady. You get pressure up the middle. You make him uncomfortable. That's how he lost the 2 Super Bowls to the Giants. That's how they got down 28-3 to the Falcons. Grady Jarrett was having sack after sack after sack. You have to pressure him. Michael Strahan pressured him. When you have a good offensive line holding Brady up with those weapons, they're going to be hard to beat. When you have a good offensive line holding Big Ben up with those weapons, they're going to be hard to beat. When you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, when you look at the Tampa Bay Bucs, what else do they have? They both have really good defenses. They have pass rushers, they have quick linebackers, and then they have a great secondary. Now, we all said coming into the season, at least I said, the Bucs secondary would be the biggest weakness to me and the biggest question mark. Todd Bowles has done a great job coaching those guys up. I think Todd Bowles deserves another chance at a head coaching job. I think he is a really good defensive coordinator. And I hope he gets that, because I think he actually did a good job with the Jets compared to what they're doing now. They were nowhere near this type of train wreck when he was coaching them. So big things coming for this Bucs team. I think big things coming for this Steelers team. And I want to go through this with you guys because we were talking about the game, right? The big game of the weekend. The Pittsburgh Steelers are heading to Baltimore for their first showdown of the year. Baltimore is coming off a bye. They add Yannick Ngakoue, which is good because the one thing that the Steelers have is a good offensive line. So you need pass rushers, you need Calais Campbell, you need Yannick Ngakoue to be able to pressure them. Matthew Judon, you need those guys to be able to put pressure on that offensive line, try and break through, get Big Ben uncomfortable, right? And then the Ravens, the question for me in the Ravens game is, what are the Steelers going to do against Lamar Jackson? Because Lamar Jackson, and this is Baltimore's offense, they're not trying to throw the ball 60 times a game. They're not going to do what the Steelers are doing. They're going to run it down your throat. They're going to make you exhausted. They're going to confuse you with Lamar Jackson and really challenge this Pittsburgh defense, which has been stellar so far this season. And this is where the injury of Devin Bush really hurts the Steelers. His speed and his ability to see the field is so special. And that is exactly what you need when you when you play a guy like Lamar Jackson. It's rough. It really sucks for the Steelers, and that's what I'm very interested to see. This week I was looking at, how do they fill the void of Devin Bush? For all you guys that are not aware, Devin Bush, their starting linebacker, who is in his second year out of Michigan, tore his ACL. He is out for the season, which is unfortunate. Now, this is what happened when Ryan Shazier had his awful injury, and, thank God that this is nowhere near what Ryan Shazier injury was. The Steelers defense went to shambles. Now, luckily, their defense is much better now. TJ Watt has gotten way better. I think he's one of the best pass rushers in the entire NFL. They have Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden. They have guys that are going to be able to step up. But Devin Bush was the heart and soul of that defense. He was the linebacker. He was the play caller. He was the one that sees the field, his speed. And when you play a Baltimore team, it hurts. It really impacts you. So I am going to be, I'm a nerd. I'm a football nerd. I know everyone's going to be watching Lamar Jackson and him put on a show, and Big Ben, and he drops back and hits Deontay Johnson. I'm going to be focusing on what the Steelers do on defense to try and slow down, Lamar Jackson. How does that happen? What happens from here, right? That's going to be the big thing. It should be a great game. I can't wait for it. It's the best game of the weekend. I really, really wish they would flex that game into the Sunday night game. I don't know why the NFL is making us watch the Dallas Cowboys take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. It should not be that way. I've said for so many years that the NFL should have the ability to flex games every single week if they want. Because if you guys remember, towards the end of the year, the last 2 weeks, mainly the last week, they'll leave that Sunday night game open so that they can flex the best game in there. Why not do that every year? Last week the Raiders had some questions with COVID, so they flexed the Seattle-Arizona game into Sunday night just so they could make sure they had a Sunday night game, and it paid off. It was a beautiful game. It was amazing. So why not just do that every week if need be? Nobody wants to watch that battle between the Eagles and the Cowboys. They just don't want to watch it. Okay, I don't care if you're an Eagles or a Cowboys fan. Put the game on at 1 o'clock and move this highly contested two teams that have always hated each other, two teams with bad blood, two teams that play physical football in the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Big Ben, Lamar Jackson. Move, that game into Sunday night game. Everybody would be happy with that. Everybody would be very, very happy with that. Now, I do want to look at the Steelers schedule real quick because, guys, listen to this. If they beat Baltimore this weekend, which right now Vegas has Baltimore as 3-point favorites, which means they pretty much are the favorites because they're at home. In the NFL, when you're a 3-point favorite, it just means that you're the favorite because you're at home. They award 3 points to the home team, usually is how it works. So the Ravens are home, and right now they are 3-point favorites. If they win that game, I want you guys to listen to their next couple weeks. They then have at Dallas, that's a win. They're then home to Cincinnati, that's a win. Even though Joe Burrow has been playing great football, and I love watching him play, they're still not there as a team yet, so that's a win. Then they go to Jacksonville, so that's a win. And then they're at home Thanksgiving night against the Ravens, which is awesome. I love that game. I can't wait for it. So if they beat the Ravens this week, that will then put them at 7-0. They'll be at 7-0 with Dallas, Cincinnati, and Jacksonville, the next 3 before the Ravens. If they win this game, we will be going into Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, saying the Pittsburgh Steelers are 10-0. Wow. If they win this game, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be 10-0 going into Thanksgiving night. That is wild. That is something to keep your eye on because that is a very interesting schedule. And I'm not going to get ahead of ourselves too much here, but just to give you guys a thing, they play at home Thanksgiving night against the Baltimore Ravens. So they'll already have the challenge of taking them on the road out of the way. If they then beat the Ravens at home Thanksgiving night, they're then at home to Washington, at Buffalo, at Cincinnati, at home to Indianapolis, and then at Cleveland. Look, I'm not getting ahead of myself here. This is what Sports Talk Radio is. You do it. if they beat those two Baltimore teams, those two Baltimore games, they have a serious chance of going undefeated. I'm not even kidding. Look, if they beat the two Baltimore games are by far their hardest schedule. Now, at Buffalo is tough. That's a Sunday night game. Maybe Buffalo will start to play better, but right now I would take the Steelers all day. Now, that's not until December 13th, so a lot of things can change then. At Baltimore, home versus Baltimore, at Buffalo are their three toughest games. If they win those three, the Pittsburgh Steelers are most likely going to go undefeated. Now, a lot of things can change. Obviously, it's the NFL. People can get injured. They already lost Devin Bush, so we'll see what happens, but can't wait for that game this weekend. A lot of other good games coming up this weekend, and we'll get excited to see how all those things go, and we'll definitely break that down more into the Saturday show. But I want to dive in here and look at what's going on with the New England Patriots. Look, the New England Patriots are sitting here at 2-4. They were 2-1. They had a very, very last-second loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Cam Newton threw for 350 yards. They brought it all the way down to the 2-yard line, and then they tried to run it and gun it with New England. Seattle knew that was coming. They stopped them. They went to 2-1. Right? After that, they have now lost 3 games straight. Remember, after that, they got COVID. Cam Newton got COVID. Stephon Gilmore got COVID. And it kind of really derailed this team. They weren't able to practice, so then they come out very sloppy against a Denver team that got all their pieces back healthy. Then this week they just got trampled by the 49ers. It was the worst loss in the Belichick era by far. Worst loss in the last 20 years. And now they're sitting at 2-4. The Miami Dolphins are 3-3 in second place, and the Buffalo Bills are 5-2. The Patriots play at Buffalo this weekend. If they win that game, Buffalo goes to 5-3, New England goes to 3-4. And New England will have the head-to-head over Buffalo. If New England wins this game, then the New England Patriots will win the AFC East. I'm calling it right now. Sean McDermott has been with the Buffalo Bills as the head coach for 3 years now. He is 0-6 against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. He is a great coach, but he has not learned how to beat the Patriots yet. All week, everyone has been talking how embarrassing the Patriots' loss was, how Cam Newton is playing terrible, how if Cam Newton doesn't step it up, he's going to lose his job for good. He already got benched last week, blah, 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 blah. If they're going to come out ready to go, I can guarantee it. And they're going to win this game against Buffalo. And if I am right about that, and they do, you can pencil in the New England Patriots to win the division just like I predicted. I get it. You have every right to be down on this team. They lost the most players out of any other team to COVID. 8-9 players opted out. I said before the season, this is going to be the toughest coaching job by Bill Belichick in the history of his coaching career. By far. They have no weapons. Julian Edelman is by far their best weapon, and he has not been good. He looks old. Cam Newton looks old. He looks run down. He looks tired after having COVID. He was great before COVID. It's been a drastic change since. And look, it's COVID, guys. We don't know the following symptoms of COVID. We hear about, okay, you had it, you're young, you're healthy, now you're not, you don't have it anymore, you're fine, you're back to normal. We don't know that. We don't know that at all, man. Cam Newton could feel lackadaisical. He could feel tired. We do not know the symptoms. So I'm not using COVID as an excuse, but it is legit life right now. Like that is things that we know. It is legit life. But they still do have Bill Belichick, who is a mastermind. They still do have Cam Newton, who's a former MVP, and has shown us earlier this year that he can do it. See, this is the thing. If Cam Newton has looked awful all year, then I would sit here right now and say, guys, the Patriots are done. I would say I was wrong with my pick. Cam Newton is washed up. He doesn't look good. He's done. But the first 3 weeks of the season, we saw Cam Newton ball out. We saw Josh McDaniels call plays that were genius, that were opening things up for him. And now he's taking a regression. Now he's taking a step back. Now, unless there's an injury that I don't know about, because we all know Cam likes to play injured, but his play drops down tremendously when he plays injured. So, unless there's an injury that I don't know about, which I don't think there is, we know that Cam Newton still has it in him, still has some in the tank to go all out and ball. So because of that, I'm telling you, don't count this team out just yet. Do not count this team out just yet. Because they're taking on a Buffalo team that has not beat them in the last 3 years, that has a head coach that's very good. I love Sean McDermott. I would take him as my head coach in a second, but he hasn't figured out how to beat Bill Belichick yet. Josh Allen has taken a great step forward each year as a quarterback, but he still hasn't been able to beat Bill Belichick and the Patriots yet. If they win that game, they're right back in the thick of things. The Miami Dolphins, they're at 3-3. They're overachieving. Brian Flores is a tremendous coach. I love that guy. But now they're starting this week with Tua, a rookie. We don't know how things are going to go. It's going to be a maturation process. It's going to take time for him to evolve. You know, we got to pump the brakes here. If Tua comes out this week and struggles, I already know what's going to happen. Everyone around the world is going to say, oh my God, they screwed up. They should have taken Justin Herbert, blah, blah, blah. Stop. Guys, yes, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are lighting things up. That does not always happen. It's very rare for stuff like that to happen. Rookies will come in and they'll light it up here and there, but they also go through growing pains. And both of them will go through growing pains at some point. So if Tua comes out and struggles a bit, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. He's a good quarterback. He's coming off injury. The main thing is to watch him play numerous games in a row, watch him finish the season without getting healthy. If he can finish this entire season, without getting injured. If he can finish this entire season without getting injured, that is a positive for the Miami Dolphins organization and a positive for Miami Dolphins fans moving forward. I'm telling you, that is all you want to see out of Tua. Of course, you want to see him play well. Of course, you want to see him improve. That will happen. But you want to see him stay healthy. That's the most important thing. So do not count the Patriots out. And they're still in great position to take over this division. And we're just going to have to see what happens here. I mean, if you look at their schedule moving forward, they're at the Bills this week. Okay. Then they're at the Jets. Then they're home to Baltimore. And then they're at Houston. Okay. So that Baltimore game is going to be tricky. Houston, is not looking good right now. They'll definitely beat the Jets. And they'll beat Buffalo. So they have a chance to win 2 in a row, get them back to 500, and then go take on a Baltimore team at home, and then go take on a Houston team. And then they end their schedule. Their last 3 weeks is at Miami, at home against Buffalo, and at home against the Jets. So even if they lose a couple games in between, they end the season on 3 weeks where they can beat up on that division like they have for so many years. Even though the division's getting better, it's still the Patriots division until I see a team in this division beat up on them. We got to see that happen first. They've only had one division game so far. They beat the Miami Dolphins first week of the season. Now let's see what happens from here. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I really, really appreciate everyone for listening. It's a beautiful Tuesday here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this and however you're listening to it, we really do appreciate you guys tuning in. It's awesome. We thank you for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Go check it out. So much great content on there. I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show, write a nice review. It really helps us out. We've gotten some great comments by you guys. Also, if you can, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, and have a great day and a great night. Week 8 starts on Thursday. We'll be back on Saturday to break down that game and then much, much more. Talk to you then. Have a good one.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.